Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. I want to react to some crazy comment on a YouTube video and talk about this. This is exactly what the problem is. And I usually don't do this until somebody turns into a total hater. Then they do something dumb like attack and say I'm a horrible father, I'm probably an abuser, especially if it comes from a man. And, usually I give people the benefit of the doubt on the first comment. And when I tell them, why are you going that route? Why don't you man up? Why don't you fight? Then they get offended. And they don't think, wow, this guy won. He might know something I don't. Then they show how easily thin-skinned and offended they are. And then I correct them and I give them some facts. And then they get even more offended because they're hurt, because they got discriminated against. And then they talk to me like I never been through the family court system and I never experienced what they experienced, and they want a woe is me pity party. That's not what this page is for. This page is for people who want to fight and who actually want to grow a pair. And if you don't want to do that and you're going to come on here and attack me, I'm going to make an example. Now this doesn't have, I got like 4 or 5 videos where people in the comments started talking super crazy. So I'm going to talk about what's wrong with this guy. Let's see, what video was this? It's a recent video, and this is exactly what the problem is, because if all we're going to do is sit around and whine, cry, piss and moan about the system, we could do that forever. And that's what people have been doing for 60 years. Well, I'm sitting here helping a few guys win, because there's only a few guys who want to grow some balls and fight. Everybody else is debating what laws we should put in place and going to the legislature year after year after year. And the legislature says, nope, no way, we're not going to do that because the feminists control the legislature. Instead of getting in there and getting out with your kids right here and now, some people want to fight the entire jurisdiction of the court system and take on the entire nationwide or worldwide Western civilization court system, but they don't want to fight for their kid. Doesn't make any damn sense. So if my gender gets out of feminine emotions and starts using their brain and acting like a man who's engaged in warfare and be willing to endure toughness as a good soldier, they would do a lot better. But here's what we got going on here in this video, where I talk about false reporting. So I'm talking about false reporting. And then one dad says, he says, LMAO, laughing my ass off, because it just seems impossible to make a false report. Now, just because I say something doesn't mean you're automatically going to win and get everything you want. But like I've said, some people will come by and they're just passerbys. They just pass by, they pop in, they say something stupid, and then they lie and say, well, men can't do that. And I say, yeah, they can. Look what I did and all these other guys did. Then they don't have any excuses for being a ballless, simp little coward. And then they keep going back and forth and telling me I'm full of crap because their experience is their own worldview. And their pity party is their own worldview. And they're atypical. They're part of the 90%. David Goggins did a video about how in a war, 10% of the guys shouldn't even be there. The other 80% are just targets. Of the last 10%, 9 out of 10 are doing all the fighting. And then one guy is a warrior. So there's me and a few other guys that are total warriors that have been willing to teach other guys. We went in and we were warriors. We taught other guys how to be warriors. And then only 10% of you will even talk to me. 10% are passerbys who talk shit and say that's impossible. And then 80% are just along for the ride and they're never going to really fight. They just dilly-dally around. So let's talk about this one guy who's of the 10% that not only doesn't want to fight, but doesn't like me now. And then he's going to personally attack me and my relationship with my daughter, which he knows nothing about, only like a female or a crazy baby mama would. This is what the problem is. This is my gender. This is who I'm fighting through and sifting through to get to the real ones who really want to fight.
I said when I was 24, I had the same condition, man. I had the same problem. So I started studying it. The more I studied it, I came with this crazy conclusion. I was just being a bitch. When I say bitch, it's not gender specific. It's a mindset. In Godlish, it means weak, soft, feeling sorry for yourself. Get your ass up and lace them up. Stay hard.
So let's take a look at the comments. Okay, so here goes my video. It's the false reporting. Why don't you press charges against your ex? And I know a lot of cops won't do anything about it, but when I tell you why don't you do something like this, I'm not saying you do it and you automatically get whatever you want and they're going to lock her up and throw away the key. This is just a first step. If you don't get them to listen to you, then you follow up with letters like I talk about in the comments. You talk to the city council, the mayor, the prosecutor, and the city. And see, the cops are also don't care about stuff like this. So it's up to you to influence and change the mind of the cops in your state, in your city, in your city council, and your mayor. I'm about to write a demand letter to my local mayor, and I'm going to have a story about it in a few months about how things turn out. So this pinned comment, this guy says, I've been in the police for years on this. I haven't complained to them. Total BS, but happens every time. So that's not the end of it. He goes to departments and talks in person, it sounds like. You guys got to be writing. Now, this isn't the guy. He's making a legit first. James, that seems impossible. So I give people the benefit of the doubt. I respond to him, stuff like that. And then this guy says, I recently complained to Child Services. Why the hell would you talk to Child Services or CPS? And I guess this guy is in Great Britain. Because I found out the ex had 10 interactions with them for neglect and abuse. So Child Services had 10 interactions and didn't do anything. And what does he do? He calls Child Services. He doesn't do anything. Why don't you go to court and go for full custody? He didn't even think about that. They never even checked if daughter had a father in her life. Just believe moms at their face value. Woe is me, whine, cry, piss, and moan. The Child Services replied, this doesn't meet our complaints criteria. And then he quit. This guy, Mercenary. So he claims that he's a mercenary, but he doesn't even want to fight for his kid. So I had to come out because he basically whine, cry, piss, and moan. He didn't even do stuff that I talk about doing. So I was a little bit harsh. I said, I guarantee you half-asses and didn't do it right. Did you do this? And I gave him a list of things to do. And talked to them about it being a crime on the books and stuff like that. I think I'm replying to him, or I might be replying to the first guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember who I applied to and it won't tell me. So I tell them what to do. Free information that works for me and lights a fire under people and helps you progress. And then I told him, okay, so I definitely replied to him here. Why the hell would you trust and wait on them to do something? Go to court and fight for full custody. And did you complain in writing? This guy said I got my local MP to even write an official letter of complaint, etc. This is not what I said. I said, he says, I got my local MP to write a letter of complaint. Everybody's yakking and talking and yakking and talking and yakking and talking. Go rescue your kid. You said up here that there's 10 complaints. That means there's 10 bad interactions and problems. Go to the court. They know one man ain't got the constant thousands to keep paying. Okay, so then he's saying, I don't have thousands of dollars to hire lawyers. Solicitors or lawyers out there. Great Britain. They don't even think coercive control is a thing in the UK unless it's done to a woman. They will land Chinook helicopter on. I don't even know what he's saying. He doesn't finish. Whine, 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 cry. I tried this and I tried that. So he tried a bunch of yakety yak, and he's trusting the Child Services, whatever it's called, the CPS of England out there. That's all he's doing. He's sitting back on his butt, writing some letters, and hoping that somebody else does. He doesn't even think to go to court and try and get on the offensive. I said, what the hell are you talking about? Paying solicitors. It's free to do it yourself. My entire page is all about learning how to fight without an attorney. So he's crying about how much it's going to cost, and that's why he's not going to court. Why not at least try for free? Then he says in the UK it's not free. Yeah, it's not free if you get a lawyer. What about representing yourself? In the UK, you'd have no chance of achieving all this stuff. You make it sound so simple. I never said it was easy and light. It is simple. Go to court, grow some balls, and fight. But there's a lot of stuff to that. This guy doesn't want to fight, and he wants to argue with me about he wants somebody else to rescue him. The MP, the child services. I want somebody else to go rescue me and save me. I complained to child services. You're in court. Go in court. Grow some balls.
The more I studied it, I came with this crazy conclusion. I was just being a bitch.
So I came back at him. What the hell are you talking about paying solicitors? So I'm telling him to go to court and fight for free. And then he's saying it costs too much. And I said, it's free to represent yourself. He's not paying attention. He's coming on my page as a passerby saying guys can't do that, guys can't win. I don't have time to tell this guy and break this stuff down for free in the comments. He's just going to whine, cry, piss, and moan. And this is what he does. And this is what my greatest haters are guys who lose. I might have to title that. James's greatest haters are guys who lost. Because I'm sitting here telling him answers of what to do. And he won't even consider it. And then he attacks me. Because he's butthurt. Because me talking about what can be done, I didn't even attack him personally or call him a pussy or anything. But the inner pussy is whining and crying and defending itself because it's being exposed, because he doesn't want to even think about trying to do the stuff that worked for me and thousands of others. So then he says again, in the UK it's not free. I told him it's free to do it without an attorney. You have no chance of achieving this stuff. You make it sound so simple. How does your daughter even like you? She's probably petrified of you. If you talk like you do to potential business clients, I dread to think what your life is behind closed doors. This is what a female does. Women turn around and personally attack you. This is feminine energy. No wonder he's a pussy. So I go in and tell him, now I'm going to pin this thread to show everybody what this problem this is. Men's lies and excuse making and whining about how hard the war is. You're in a war. You had a kid with a crazy person. You had a kid with a crazy person. So did I. I paid the price for it. But I was willing to because my daughter was at the other end. You're not willing to do that. You're a pussy. And then he says, my daughter probably is petrified of me. I have pictures on this page showing my daughter loving on me and feeling safe with me. You know, her head is on my shoulders and, you know, like, I feel so safe with you, Dad. my daughter's 23 now. I raised her alone. The only thing this guy has after I went through this exposing, and I'm not even trying to expose him. I said, dude, what are you doing? Do this, do that, wake up, grow some balls. And his inner pussy goes, no, you're exposing me for being a pussy and a sellout to my kids. I don't want to fight. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's hard, but you don't have a choice. So I'm telling guys, do this stuff. You don't have a choice otherwise. I didn't have a choice. I went through hell. And so, let's see what we say here. So, again, he's attacking me and my daughter. So, the thing is, the guy turns around and personally attacks me and my daughter because he's got nothing else. And I could show you pictures right now of us hanging out the other day. I took some selfies, and it's kind of cute because my daughter, she's 23 now. She's about 23. And, I'm sorry, she is 23. She's about to be 24. And in the picture, you can see her arm reaching up because she's like, Dad, you need to hold that at an angle like this. And then I got a picture of her smiling, big smile. And then I got another picture of her laughing in the background, and she's having a good time. And obviously enjoys the time with me. And I've had countless comments on Facebook because she's been my pride and joy for the past 20 years. She's been my whole life. My whole life has revolved around her. I raised her by myself without the mother's help. And everybody says she turned out to be a decent person. Now, I have all kinds of regrets and mistakes that I made and things that I wish I did and was smarter about, like we all do. I don't brag that I was a great dad, but I was there. You know, I was there. That's the only thing I can brag about and say, this is what I did do. I was there. And I have, like I said, I have mistakes and regrets, but me and my daughter have a great bond. She's never been afraid of me. She still turns to me for help. And even though her mom is back in the Seattle area, she only hangs out with her mom like once a month or once every few months. Even though she's grown and the mother's gotten back in her life, it's still like they have to have an activity or whatever. It's not that tight of a thing. My daughter came over here and just hung out at the house. We didn't have to talk. And then we did talk, and we went and did stuff. And she tells me about problems and issues, and sometimes she doesn't. There's all kinds of stuff she confided me with me about growing up. And stuff that I never would even thought to tell my parents. Like stuff about boyfriends and stuff that they did and she felt bad about, and things that you just typically don't tell your parents, because she wanted to tell me because she wanted some insight, or she just felt crunchy or bad and she felt safe to telling me that stuff. And this punk ass bitch is sitting here saying that my daughter's afraid of me. So this is a grown ass man, and I'm telling him stuff in writing like, grow some balls and go fight for your kid. And that hurts him so bad that he has to make a presumptuous, judgmental, female-like call and say, I'm a monster and abusive. And I'm not saying this to defend myself. I'm saying, look at what men do. And on this very page where he's talking about I'm a monster to my kid, I have pictures of me and my kid that prove otherwise. This is what is wrong with my gender. This is what's going on. Men are pussies and don't want to fight. And when I tell them, hey, go fight, they're like, but I don't want to fight. It's too hard and it costs too much money. Well, it doesn't cost money if you learn how to represent myself. Then you're like, oh my God, I can represent myself? That seems even more hard. I attack you and I deflect away from me, because if I don't have any excuses to cover up for being a pussy, then I'm going to have to actually fight for my kid. And I don't want to do that. And James is exposing that. And I'm not even trying to expose that. I'm like, why didn't you do this and why didn't you do that? And they never even thought about that. And that exposes their inner bitch. My freaking gender. And then look at this crap right here. Below this comment, look at this guy. And this mentality, the stuff that I'm talking about in the video, this mentality is the reason I got full custody. So there's this guy up here talking about what a child abuser I am, and I'm full of shit, and I make it sound easy. And I'm talking about the mentality guys need to have And this guy says this mentality is the reason I got full custody. Now, I don't know if I helped this guy or he did it on his own or if he's a fan or if he just came along. This guy says, great video. So right in the comments here is a comment of a dad getting full custody. Okay? And this guy's saying how I'm full of crap. Or the way you talk to clients. I dread to think what you're like behind closed doors. How does your daughter even like you? She's probably terrible. If you talk like you do to potential business clients, I'm not here for people like this. This guy is not a potential business client. I talk about what it takes to be a warrior. He winces and wilts and cries and attacks me because it hurts his little labia. And then I turn around and call him a pussy because he's sitting there calling me a monster and stuff. And he's saying, this is the way you talk to potential clients. Well, at first, I was telling him, what the hell are you doing? Go do this and go do that. And I don't care if he's a potential paying client. And it turns out I really don't care because I cannot help a pussy, a coward, who acts like a total female. This is why he lost. This is the main reason why he lost. Now, there's bigotry and bias in the court system and screwed up courts. But this pussiness is why he lost, okay? In the same video, there's this comment. And then also, of course, if you go in here, let's see, I'm going to have to pause this. Then you type in HIGC testimony. And then let's see what we got here. HIGC testimony. Here's dad wins at trial and gets all he asked for. Trial materials scare the crap out of the mom and she settles on 50-50. This one right here, I show the mom and her attorney child rep agree to 50-50 week on, week off. So please listen to James. He changed my life. So the other guy is saying how I talk to clients. This guy talked to me and he was encouraged to fight because once you call to talk to me, we're getting down to business. All this stuff I talk about here is to wake people up. There's another one over there, HIGC testimony, how I got custody testimony, and there's several others. You can look it up yourself, but I don't have a whole lot because I started doing it on Instagram, on my first Instagram, which got deleted because, you know, people don't like me talking the way that I do. But I don't care. The guy's talking about, oh, that's not a way to do business also. So you think you're going to passive aggressively talk shit to me and I'm just going to sit back and say, oh, okay, the customer's always right. I really want your business. No, if you show me that you're a pussy ass coward and you don't want to fight for your kids, I don't want to help you. I can't, because I can't help you. I've done this for 24 years, since 2001, after my first custody battle. 2001. 2002 is 2025, going into my 24th year of doing this stuff. I worked with fathers' rights organizations where Bob Carl's the Dads Against Discrimination. I remember we got a meeting together with another non-custodial parent rights groups, and we're talking about things we're going to do. And as soon as we got started sitting down, everybody started telling their story. This happened to me, and you wouldn't believe this, you wouldn't believe this. And Bob said, you know, he was done with his kid was grown. Are we going to sit here and just whine about all our problems, or are we going to get something done here? And that was the first time I realized that, like, you know what? That's all these guys ever do. And I noticed it from somebody else. See, it's not just me. It's not just me saying that or thinking that. That's acknowledged by the guy who mentored me. And then another guy who mentored me, I paid him $600 to do some paperwork, and he got it all screwed up, but he gave me a couple of nuggets. Dennis Gack from the National Brotherhood of Fathers' Rights. You can see his stuff online, but I think he's passed away now. He said, look, man, I'm going to need a commitment from you now. You know, we've been talking too much, and he was basically like telling me nicely to just shut up and let's get to work. So I'm not saying anything new. If you need help in anything in life, and you want to go and tell somebody who's a mentor, somebody who's teaching you how to get in shape, how to fix your car, how to do-it-yourself remedies, how to be successful in business, and you want to tell them all the ways that you failed, and they know how to win or how to compete or how to make you better, and you're just whining and crying and pissing and moaning, nobody wants to listen to that. And for some reason, my gender feels entitled to talk about that because nobody else in the world gives a shit about what you're going through. Now, I actually give a shit. I care so much that I'm still doing this aggravating stuff where I got to deal with pussies like whatever this dude's name is. Was Mercenary something. How can you have a name Mercenary? That's like a brave kamikaze warrior who's willing to fly his plane into Pearl Harbor for Japan that he's a nationalist or patriot for. Mercenary going in to war and going in like a Navy SEAL or something, going in to get Bin Laden or something and risking their lives. His name is Mercenary, and everything he said, I can't do this, I can't do that, I tried this and I tried that. Like, why didn't you do the obvious thing and go for full cut? The lady has 10 CPS interactions, and you're sitting here calling the people who didn't do anything about it to see if they'll do something about the 10 interactions. You got to be retarded to think like that. And I was being nice by saying, what the hell are you doing that? Go get full custody. Well, I can't, and it costs a lot of money. This whole page is about doing it for free. It's not free over here. The guy is so dumb, and he so did not want to listen to me. That's another reason why he's not a potential client. Everything I say, he's not listening. He wants to whine, cry, piss, and moan. And because I left him, here's the thing. I left him without any excuses. He didn't have any excuses left. He had no reason to whine, cry, and moan anymore. So what did he do? His inner bitch screamed and hollered, I can't take this anymore. Like an unaccountable, like a modern female who doesn't want to be held accountable. When you catch a female in the corner and they're wrong, they want to project blame on you. So what does he do? He turns around and accuses me of something that's obviously not true. And I have evidence that's not true on here. And I have to deal with pussy-ass bitches like this all the time. And I'm still here. And 99.9% of fathers' rights advocates disappear out of this within 1 or 2 years. There's some that have stuck around for 5, 10, 15 years, but they do less and less and less. Bob Carls, who mentored me, sometimes he wouldn't pick up the phone. He said, sometimes I get so sick and tired of this stuff, I don't even want to hear it, so I don't pick up the phone. I'm always picking up the phone or always replying to text. If I don't reply to text or something, it's because I'm asleep, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm caught up with somebody who's paying. So if you're trying to tell me your whole life story in a text message, I'm working with somebody who's paying me. Because I definitely don't want to hear this stuff for free. I can hear your aggravating story when we're talking on the phone, but even then, I want to get down to business and give you answers on how to help. If you want a counselor, that's why I posted a couple posts about, what's her name? Family court coach. I forgot the full name. But this lady that I've talked with and worked with, and she wants to help coach people with the emotional part. She sees that she sees like what I'm doing on the legal end and the court advocacy end. And she realizes there's not a lot of, emotional support, and she's been through hell, and she wants to be there for parents. And, family. I had it mixed up, but I had family court corner on my brain. But family court support coach. I give you guys a short with that. That's on Instagram, lady on Instagram, who does consultations and lets people just vent or gives them some support. She's been through hell, supervised visitation for several years, non-custodial parent, everybody beating her down. And she really struggled early on, and now she finally has some hope, and she's been moving forward and surviving. There's a lot of people who've been suicidal with the stuff that she's been through. And now she wants to help rescue people from being suicidal and all this stuff. That's why I give stuff like that to you guys. So this guy is just a passerby. He sees I'm a father's rights guy, and he wants somebody to coddle him. Oh, it's going to be okay. It's going to be better. You don't have to do anything. Just sit there, and I will magically deliver 50-50 custody to you via Amazon overnight expedited delivery. That's not how this works. That's not how anything works in life, but we feel entitled and turn into little divas. And this guy acted like a little diva in the end. And he came with some real bitch female stuff at the end. And yeah, I said, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you do this or that? He's like, how can you talk so harshly? You must be a child abuser. Because I acted like a boss or a coach, somebody at your workplace that's a boss chewing you out, or a coach that said, that's the wrong way to do it. Don't do it like that. Obviously, this guy probably never played any physical sport where he had a coach or a mentor telling him to get off his ass and hustle and do some sprints or whatever. Anyway, see, nobody is going to ever be able to get over on me or make me look stupid or make me feel stupid. All you're doing is making yourself look dumb. If you come to my page and you want to fight for your kids, I'm your number one support. I'm in your corner. But I want to get down to business and teach you the tools and weapons and how to look stuff up yourself and do this stuff yourself. I want to empower you to be better than me. But 90% of you don't want that because you want somebody to come rescue you. I'm not here. I'm not here for that. And this guy, the way you talk at a potential client, you said pussy comment after pussy comment after whine cry pussy comment, and I checked it, and now you don't like it, and I have zero tolerance for that. So this is what's wrong with my gender. If you want to be like this guy, feel free. Like to call. You go on Instagram. Family court support coach. She'll listen to you all day long if that's what you want to do. I'm not a family court support coach. I'm not here to listen and cry on your shoulder and comfort you. And this lady actually is very patient and she has a great listening ear. And, initially she did a couple consults with me and I gave her a listening ear because she was going through it. And I'm not insensitive to the reality of that stuff. But we talked about what she needed to do. So, and she's been watching me for a while and she sees how there's a need for what she does now out there. And she has a passion for helping people because she made it through when she had some real dark times and stuff. And so anyway, go talk to somebody like her. And if you want to be 100% full-blown pussy-ass bitch, the Father's Rights Movement will welcome you with open arms and open legs and will, they'll, cuddle with you and dry hump you all night long. And you guys can have a big, spooning orgy because all the Father's Rights Movement group do is just sit around and whine, cry, piss, and moan. But at the end of the day, even after you do all that, I've been through that myself. At first, when I went through this stuff, I was talking to people, whining, crying, pissing, and moaning. Nobody's listening. Nobody cares. Nobody can care. Outside of God, nobody can comfort you really the way that you need to be comforted. So the real comfort isn't going to court and fighting and getting some victory, at least walking away and saying you gave it everything. That was what I was going to do bare minimum. If I never saw my kid again, I was going to be able to face her one day and say that I fought the way that I could with everything that I had. And it turned out, when I did that, I actually kicked ass. I didn't even plan on doing that. I just knew I was fighting. And you guys don't even want to try and do that because you don't think you'll win. I didn't care if I won or lost per se. I wanted to be able to face my daughter at bare minimum and say, I fought for you. And I had my mind made up. If I have to fight for her till she's 18, just so there's a paper trail that I fought for her so I can face her one day and not be ashamed, I was willing to do that. And then you guys want to quit. I was willing to do it with no hope in sight that I would get any visitation. And then when I got some visitation, there was no hope in sight of me getting 50-50. And then I got full custody because I kept at it and kept at it and kept at it. A lot of you pussy ass bitches, you don't even want to try because you won't get 100% of everything that you want. 50-50 in the house and your car, and you don't have to pay alimony, don't have to pay attorney fees. And if you have any one of those little things that is your goal and you lose on it, you quit like a bitch. I don't got time for people like you. I'm here to help the guys that are willing to say, man, this thing sucks. This is ugly. I was dumb to have a relationship with this chick, but I got kids with her. I need to go rescue my kids. I need to at least give it a try and set aside my life for the next year, take this all the way to trial. Or if you have a final order that's screwing you over, at least do a modification. Or if you have a contempt issue, at least do a contempt because you've never tried contempt. There's so many guys who never even attempted a contempt motion. And when I get guys who finally do it, the mother is whining and crying, please don't do contempt on me. I promise I'll do this and that. And then they want to like drop the contempt because they don't want to hurt her feelings. And because they're a bitch still. And they're a henpecked little simp. And so the mom is manipulating them and talking them out of it. I said, dude, finish the job and get her found in contempt. Then let her beg and plead and learn her lesson. And guys, finish the job and get her found in contempt. And then they never have to go to court again. But a lot of you guys just curled up in a ball. Oh, if I did contempt, it'll hurt her feelings. I don't know what will happen. So? I have zero tolerance. I'll give somebody the benefit of the doubt. I might say, what the hell are you doing? Or why are you trusting the court system? This guy, this lady had 10 CPS calls and CPS did nothing. And so what did he do? He called CPS an 11th time to see if they're going to do anything about the 10 things that they didn't do anything about before. That's insane. Why didn't he say, this lady's had 10 interactions, officer or magistrate or whatever they call them in England, I forget. I actually had a guy who was in England and he called me up and he wanted to consult with me. And I said, why don't you get on the offensive and do whatever discovery process? I can't. I'm scared. I'm too much of a pussy. Okay, why don't you at least go for full custody and hopefully you get off this every other weekend and me get closer to I can't. I'm a pussy. I'm afraid. He literally said I'm a pussy 10 times in the phone call. I'm like, why are you even calling me then? He just wanted to vent and talk to somebody who empathized with his position, who's been through what he's been through. And then he never called me again. And obviously men in Europe, they're a lot softer than American men in some regards. We used to have a more manly man, a man's man type of image of manlyhood, in John Wayne days or, that type of stuff. And now that's why MMA is so popular, because you can be a male warrior in the ring and go there and just be a man and vent. Or football is always going to be the most popular sport because you can actually have that sense of being a warrior, because you can't be a man in regular life. It's toxic masculinity. You can't talk like that or look like that or say stuff like that. And even in the church, everything is kind of feminized, even though Jesus cracked a whip and told the Pharisees off openly in public. Even though there's scriptures that said, David said, the Lord teaches my hands to war, my fingers to fight. God has a feminine tender side, but he also has a warrior side, and he wants men to be warriors, not punk ass bitches. There's all kinds of scriptures that say, fear not. And when it talks about the lake of fire, the first ones cast in are the fearful. It doesn't say all the perverts and the sexual, the fearful. That's an abomination to be in fear when you're a man. Now, you're not going to have the absence of fear 24/7 in life, but you face your fears head on. So, anyway, I don't have time to just sit there and cater to a fear-mongering, whining, crying little bitch who wants me to placate to that. Sorry. If you don't like the way and how did I talk so harshly that that's equated with being an abuser of female children? Come on, man. Come on. That's gay as hell. Only gay dudes and crazy baby mamas would go to that pathetic drama queen bullcrap. Anyway, again, it's a once in a while. I see this stuff all the time, every day. But this guy's bold enough to talk shit to me on YouTube like the way that he does. And we're here to root out and rat out and disseminate and, defeat our inner bitch. Like I've said before, I was a beta most of my life. I had some harsh talking to by my alpha buddy friends. And, I grew up a little bit about, letting stuff slide, letting people take advantage of me. If they weren't really taking anything from me that I wasn't willing to provide or didn't offend me, I let it roll off. But when somebody tried to take my daughter from me, like Mary Beth Solscheid Evans and her husband Chemo Evans tried to do, and Sedaris Wright, my baby's mom, and her sisters Yvonne Wright and Barb Wright, dominated by their mother, Catherine Wright, this radical feminist, and they're all going to die old maids together. 4 women all going to die old maids because of their allegiance to each other. When somebody tried to steal my daughter and take her away from her father and deprive my daughter from her father and her basic life view to her father, the alpha male came out. Simba wasn't frolicking out in the oasis running from his calling like little bitch. I decided to go back and take my kingdom back. My kingdom is my family. My family was my daughter. I wasn't with the baby's mom, but that's my family, and I'm the king. And if you don't walk into court, I do a whole video on this. If you don't walk into court like you're the alpha male of the lion pride, you should walk in there with the mentality knowing who you are. If you don't know who you are and you walk into court, oh, I'm just somebody that's begging and pleading like a little slave. Can I be a part of my kid's life too? If you're walking in, oh, can you please offer me 50-50, dear mom? Baby mama, can you please? I know you own the child, but can I be involved in her life? You should be offended, like somebody stole your car. You know, I just did a video like a little bit ago. Somebody steals your car and they call you and they want you to transfer money for gas money, and you do it. That's what men do when they give child support cash to a mom who's alienating them. That's some bitch-ass, crybaby, whining little... You should be offended. How dare you ask me for money after you stole my kid? Give me my kid. And maybe I'll help support you. I went to court and I went to war on my baby's mom. She was a traitor within the camp. I'm in charge of my daughter's life. I'm the leader and protector of my daughter. How dare any of you think of even taking my daughter from me? And not just taking the daughter from me, but depriving the child of a father. Anyway, I think I made my point.
Weak, soft, feel sorry for yourself. Get your ass up and lace them up. Stay hard.